Well, good afternoon, everybody. We're here to talk about the reintroduction of PARA and PREVAIL, what I consider to be some of the most important intellectual property measures that we can put into place to make sure that the United States continues to be the innovation leader of the world. We will go to questions. I'm only going to spend about another minute here just in introductions. First off, I want to thank my colleague of many years, Chris Coons. We have at times either been the chair or ranking members in the Intellectual Property Subcommittee for Judiciary. And Chris, I don't know if there's ever really any difference depending upon the only advantage is when you're the ranking member, you don't have to be there for the entirety of the hearing if you don't want to be. But no, in all seriousness, we've worked very closely together. We've done great things. In fact, I believe that with our colleagues in the House, we've probably got some of the most production out of our subcommittee and real results of just about any committee. I will at least speak for the Senate. My focus has been on PREVAIL and following Senator Coons' lead. On PARA and Senator Coons' lead on PREVAIL. With PARA, we just have to realize that we have jurisprudence. There's so much uncertainty now that it's very difficult in this jurisdiction for people who are making massive investments to know whether or not they're going to be able to recoup them. And we've got to do things differently. And in fact, we're looking at other territories that may be a safer haven for intellectual property, which is remarkable to me when you consider the fact that we're one of the few nations that actually have intellectual property protections written into our Constitution. So we've got to get back on focus. We had a markup in PREVAIL. There were a lot of people who opposed it and said that would never happen. Well, folks, it happened. So this is the time to come to the table and see if we can address your concerns, because we intend to move the bill. And in PARA, we expect a markup in this Congress as well. So again, I want to thank my colleagues for being here. We'll let them do brief introductions and answer any questions you have. Senator Coons.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Tillis. Thank you for being a great friend and partner. I'm from Delaware. Today is Law Day. I'm a member of the Delaware Bar, and one of the real joys and blessings of service on the Judiciary Committee for 15 years now has been my partnership with Senator Thom Tillis, who, as the chair of the Intellectual Property Subcommittee, is going to move these two bills in this Congress. We got PREVAIL out of committee last year. I look forward to our getting PREVAIL and PARA out this year. I'm from the state whose federal district court handles more complex and advanced patent litigation than any other in the country. I spent 8 years as in-house counsel at a materials-based science company that relied on its patent estate. Without enforceable patent protection, innovation in this country is at risk. And in all areas, whether it's in delivering state-of-the-art healthcare solutions, helping keep clean air and clean water part of our nation's future, or protecting America's national security, we need innovation. We need to be the global leader in innovation. At a time when technology is moving faster than ever, we cannot afford to unilaterally weaken our own intellectual property system. More than a decade ago, Congress passed the America Invents Act, and it was an attempt at modernizing our patent system. Unfortunately, it has not worked as intended. Big tech has largely gamed the system to take patents away from small inventors, and the Supreme Court has issued a series of decisions that have been increasingly challenging to understand and to apply. The Federal Circuit has begged us to legislate in this area to resolve litigation questions. These are the two bills we are looking forward to moving together. Let me just say this in closing. It is so rare that you see a bipartisan and bicameral bill introduction and announcement in this Congress. I'm grateful for a chance to be a part of this work. I look forward to getting this done and to letting the Patent Office do its job and to protecting innovation in this century. Thank you. And I'll now pass it to Congressman Kevin Kiley of California. Kevin?
Oh, sure, yeah. There we go.
Thanks very much, Senator. And to echo the Senator's sentiments, I think that this is a tremendous example of how innovation can be bipartisan and intellectual property protection can be bipartisan. And I want to thank all of the stakeholders who have worked with us as well. to make this legislation possible, to get it into a form where I think it now can advance through both chambers. And as we all know, the issue of subject matter eligibility has been a legal morass for some 15 years. And so I'm proud to be leading the para on the House side in order to provide the level of certainty that we need going forward and to protect the rights of our inventors. And it's been, by the way, wonderful to get to know a lot of different inventors throughout this process who are really an inspiration and provide, I think, all of us a reminder of what American innovation is all about. And while this might seem like something of a niche issue or something that is removed from the lives of everyday Americans, nothing could be further from the truth. When we're talking about our ability to lead in innovation, that goes to the core of American competitiveness and America's ability to lead the world. Not only that, but it's also a fundamental issue of jobs. An IEP system that rewards innovators provides strong job growth and good benefits to American workers. In fact, the PTO found that IP-intensive industry workers make 60% more than their peers in sectors that use little intellectual property. IP-intensive sectors of the economy compose 41% of domestic economic activity and are more likely to provide employer-sponsored health insurance and retirement accounts than industries that do not rely heavily on IP. So para will be an economic wave that will lift all Americans and ensure our country remains the world's best innovator, and that could not be more important at this time when the future of our country and our ability to protect our values is perhaps more reliant than ever on having a lead in emerging technologies. So thank you again, everyone who has worked with us to make this happen. And I especially want to thank my co-lead on the bill, Congressman Peters from San Diego, who we'll be hearing from now.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you all for being here. It is really a pleasure to be here, as Senator Coons said, with a bipartisan, bicameral solution to a pretty manageable problem, but a really critical one. So what we've heard from innovators is that the ambiguity in the interpretation of these laws has really discouraged investment and really threatens the stability of the American setting to do innovation and to create wealth from that. And it is our invention, as Senator Tillis said, and it was something we've got to protect. I represent San Diego, which is a home to a lot of innovation in telecommunications and biotechnology. We really depend on strong patent rights to make sure that we can get investment in that people are willing to take those risks. And today we're talking about a bill that really will push back against China in a significant way, and without a lot of money. So I think it's a really good thing, good opportunity. I want to appreciate the leadership of the senators here in the Senate making this happen there. And it's a pleasure to work with my House colleagues to get this done. It's very important for San Diego and for the country. Pleased to be here today, and look forward to getting this across the line and to President's desk. And next I'll turn it over to my colleague from North Carolina, Deborah Ross.
Well, thank you. Bipartisan support here in North Carolina. I represent the Research Triangle area of North Carolina, home to so many innovative universities, entrepreneurs, small businesses. My co-sponsor in the House for the Prevail Act, Representative Moran, could not be here today, but we are very, very closely aligned on this bill and on other things in the House. The Prevail Act, of course, makes the process at PTAB and for making sure that patent rights can be preserved much more streamlined, make sure that the standard of proof is sufficiently high that we can't have a lot of these nuisance suits, make sure that you have to pick a forum so that you can't just keep picking all these other forums and the small innovator really gets shut out and has to be funded so much to be able to get their innovation across the line and into practice. And so this is a very, very important change for PTAB and for the small innovators. And I know that you guys want to get to your questions, so we're going to turn it over to one of our experts here, who we all rely on, the former director of the USPTO, Andre Ianco. Yes, Ianco. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Ross, and what an honor to be here with these amazing leaders, true champions of American innovation and the American economy. And there's no exaggeration to say that. As you've heard from Congressman Kiley, IP-intensive industries are the core of the American economy. Think about this. In 1975, around the mid-1970s, intangible assets made up approximately 17% of the assets of the S&P 500 companies. 50 years later, in the mid-2020s, intangible assets make about 90%, in fact, over 90% of the assets of S&P 500 industry, 500 companies. It is absolutely a remarkably important component of our economy and of our national security. None of it can happen without strong intellectual property protection. Intellectual property is the currency of innovation. It is the currency of creativity. And therefore, anybody who wants to protect American innovation, anybody who wants to protect the American economic growth and national security needs to support strong, reliable, and predictable, understandable laws that make it meaningfully enforceable to have intellectual property rights, and for our intellectual property system to be meaningfully administrable by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And that is what these bills do. And I cannot thank enough these incredible leaders from both chambers of Congress and from both parties. Thank you all so much.
Don't go too far.
All right, questions on topic. And if there are a variety of reasons why we brought Director Iancu here, mainly to answer any really technical questions. No, but thank you, Director. You were great to work with, and appreciate your continued support. Questions on topic.
Yeah, I have one for Senator Coons, if possible. Senator, last fall, Prevail write-up, there was some pushback from a couple Democrats, from Senator Hawley talking about generic drugs, talking about standing requirement. What do you think about those criticisms? How have those conversations gone in the last couple months?
We're going to restart those conversations with this introduction. It is my hope that we can persuade two members of the committee who had some expressed concerns where we tried to negotiate accommodations of their concerns but did not get there before the end of the last Congress. We got it out of committee by 11-10. I think we'll get it out of committee by a bigger vote margin this time.
Any other questions?
I have another.
You got one more.
All right,
the third question, you're going to have to come out in the sun, though.
I know. For Congressman Kiley, if I can?
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. For both of these bills, there's going to be a bit of an uphill battle in the House. Obviously, Subcommittee Chairman Issa is not exactly on board with every single aspect of these bills. How do you guys plan on getting past that obstacle?
Well, this is, as we've made very clear, a bipartisan issue. So I think that it's kind of an issue where a lot of these issues in IP, you don't have quite the same fault lines as you do on other pieces of legislation. And, I work very closely with Congressman Issa on a lot of issues. He's an inventor himself. He has how many patents? He has a lot of patents. And so I know that he's chair of the Intellectual Property Subcommittee, and so I'm looking forward to working with him on this and other issues.
One thing, I agree with Congressman Kiley, but I think more fundamental, we do the work. We have had endless work groups. We get the stakeholders to the table. We work hand in glove with the House to address people's concerns, which is precisely why I said we want there are two reasons why you would object to maybe Prevail. Some because you have a legitimate concern about obstacles it could create for you in the future. Others because you've enjoyed a provision for a certain period of time, good on you, but it's at the expense of other industries that need certainty. So let's just be honest about it. I've told all the people who have opposed these bills, if you do it respectfully, if you show up, if you present use cases that are instructive to potential legislative changes, fine. If you try to go behind the scenes and undermine what we're trying to do and not at the table, I don't care if you're on the table. So let's get to work, let's address the concerns, and let's keep the tradition. Our committee has never been accused of jamming people or going too fast. We are committed to doing the work and getting it right for every inventor who benefits from our IP laws.
How many witnesses did we have across 3 hearings on para last time?
Oh, I don't know. How many witnesses do we have on para in the work groups? 50. I mean, we're not doing these 5-minute interviews in legislative committees, folks. We're doing real work, and we expect that work to be respected and have people come to the table and get a good outcome for everyone. And for a few who maybe benefited from a provision for a period of time that we can no longer accommodate, I'm glad that you had that beneficial position for a period of time. But we've got to strike a balance for all of the stakeholders, and I'm going to speak openly and candidly about it and work with anybody who comes in good faith and let's just say not warmly receive people that are trying to undermine our efforts through guerrilla warfare up on the Hill. I have no patience for that. Thank you all.
Any other questions? No?